Hello, everyone. It is Friday, and I work a Monday to Friday job, so I am excited about the weekend. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. Let's see. Get Brandon on here. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. It is Friday, and I'm done for the week, so I'm very good.
Yeah, I was just listening to that. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. I didn't know you had a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. That's cool. So you're excited to have a little break.
Yes, it's my big boy job. It's been nice.
Okay, okay. I love that.
So, how's your day been?
My day has been quite interesting, as it always is. I've been hard at work. We're in the final editing stages of my book, and it's just, it's really beautiful to see something that you've worked so hard for several years to start to come together. So that's really exciting.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself so that people watching know who you are, and then we can just go ahead and jump into a discussion.
Okay, so I am Brandon Cole Bailey, known as It's Really Kin on Instagram, and I'm known for being the world's natural Kindle, as well as the world's shortest model to ever walk in Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, and to become a successful model at my height and size. Over the years, obviously, I've done, well, it's not obvious because if you don't know me, I started a YouTube a long time ago, and ever since I started that YouTube, I have been all about promoting being who you are, and just being okay with it, and understanding that you really can get to any dream that you want or goal that you want. You just have to work for it.
Awesome. Yeah, your messages that you've been putting across on your social platforms have definitely inspired me in a lot of different ways. So,
That's
I
awesome.
we've been friends on social media for a very long time, so I'm glad
I
we
mean,
finally
10
get to do
years?
something
Has it been
together.
10
Yeah.
years?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, jumping into modeling, you said that your height and size, how tall are you?
So I'm actually 5'10",
Okay.
but we had to say I was 5'11" to get me into the door a lot of times.
Oh,
When
wow.
when I first walked in Fashion Week, I was only really like 5'8.5", to be honest.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I was really short, and we always kept up this game of like I'm 5'11", blah blah blah, type thing, and it was funny because it really was like it really was back then a different ballgame. Like you walked in, you gave a comp card, and then they got to see your personality and like who you are as a person. And I think that something that got me, a lot of bookings is just being real and genuine. And that's something I've just kept over the years, especially on my social media. But of course, there's parts that are more personable, like personal, sorry, um, that I kind of kept, to my own self, and but I'm starting to get to that point where it's time to really share that story with other people, and that's what the objective of writing this book is. It's got so many stories that people never knew, and yeah. So is the lighting okay? Can everybody see me okay?
Yeah.
Because I
I
feel
think
like the sun's
your
setting
lighting is
now.
probably better than mine.
Okay, because the sun's setting now, so I'm like, oh, is it okay? Maybe I should put my Lumi on. I don't know.
Set up for a professional video. So how long have you been modeling? Like, how old were you when you started?
So I started when I was 15 years old. And from there, I guess now it's been 10 years. So, because I will be 25 on the 16th of October, which is exciting too. The
That's
birthday's coming.
crazy.
Yeah, starting
So,
in an industry like that very young is definitely. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the stories of all like the Disney Channel stars and stuff, but it's kind of the same journey, except just in the modeling industry rather than, the world of acting.
yeah, I feel like 15 and up is probably like when a lot of people are kind of discovering themselves and making a lot of mistakes. I feel like doing it in the modeling world or any type of world where everyone's kind of looking at you, that can be a really hard life because every mistake that you make is kind of out there for everyone to judge. How did you kind of maneuver through that as a younger person and where you are today?
I think for me, there will be more explanation in the book, but like what I can say for me is that I kind of just like it was weird because I was just always so busy. I kept busy, right? So it was like when I was just turning 16, I was entering college. You know, I early graduated. I was one of those kids that was like on National Honor Society, like super into all the clubs, like different languages, and so for me, like I kept super busy, and it kind of distracted me for a long time. But then it got to a point where like I'd be like on a contract in another country for a long period of time. And then when I'd be off contract, I wouldn't have so many bookings. So there's a lot of time to think. And then I also got super ill with the mastoiditis, which I don't know if you ever saw and stuff like that. But I was so busy that I just kept going and going and going for so long until I hit this hard spot a few years back of getting this thing called mastoiditis, which is like a 1 in a million people get it. It's an infection in the bone in your ear, the mastoid bone, which put me on IV antibiotics for about 6 months. And that gave me a lot of time to think and see all the things that people say. So I didn't handle it very well because I think none of us really can. I think that I always, I created this persona online. I created this about the same time a little bit before I started modeling. And so I just lived this persona. And for me, it was very helpful. It was a security blanket. It was a way to escape my everyday life and the things that hurt me. And it wasn't just, the thing is, it's like, it's very prevalent today where like online kids have to deal with online and they have to deal with bullies in school. Whereas like for me, it was like I had 20,000 people and, maybe 5,000 saying horrible things about me or, grown adults saying things that were very inappropriate. But you don't really realize that when you're that age, and everything was so new when I started, right? So when I was starting Instagram, it was a filter. Right. So I think that's the same for you, right? It was just like a filter. So it's really crazy because, it developed into this thing. And like, as I got later on, when I should have been like a junior, I was actually a freshman in college. So we'll just say like junior year. It was crazy because now it had developed into this whole thing where like, all of these random people, because Facebook was existing, MySpace was existing. So you had random people on MySpace, but it was more of like a cool space to create a page and blah, blah, blah. And then you have Facebook, and then you have Instagram emerge, where you can have people say whatever they want, whenever they want. And I think back then there wasn't the same type of, reporting or anything. It just was. Because all those things hadn't been worked out yet, which is crazy. So dealing with it was quite interesting. I think that it definitely, a lot of things stuck with me. And as much as people say, like, oh, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a very true statement. But I personally believe that it still always sticks in the back of your head and hurts you. You know what I mean? And then you have everybody kind of stick with this idea of what you looked like when you were 15 or 18 years old at your like best year of looks, and then they expect you to look like that forever. Because if you don't, then now you're fat, or now you're all these crazy things, which is absurd because we all grow, we all mature, and we all grow up. And at any rate, there should never be somebody talking bad about the way you look, because everybody's unique and everybody's special in their own way. And I think that I was lucky enough to be at the beginning of the pioneers of starting this whole culture of being who you are, being one of the few openly gay models on social media at the time. It was different. It was different for me. I had to struggle. I had to suffer. I had to not get bookings, and I had to do side jobs to pay for this, because I was living in this world where I wasn't going to let anybody tell me how I had to look or how I had to act or how I had to talk. It was going to be me or nothing. You know what I mean? And that's where I started to, tell people like, you can do it, because I proved to myself that I could do it and everybody told me I couldn't. Everybody said, you can't model, you're too short. Your waist is too thin, you'll never model jeans. You know, it was like, you'll never walk in a fashion week, you know? And then there was people that were like, oh, well, you're never gonna, it's not gonna last forever. You'll probably have like a 2-year shelf life. You know, here we are 10 years later. Um, but, you know, so it's like, you can't ever allow other people to tell you what you can and can't do. Now, I mean, obviously, if it's like, and I'm no doctor, so the things that I'm saying, it's like I'm saying out of my own experience and maybe in hopes to help others, right? But the thing is like you have to understand the difference, though. There is a difference if you're going to hurt people in a very negative way that's going to physically or mentally harm them. Then let's think about that. You know, like those are things that maybe you should listen to somebody and be like, okay, maybe I need to like chill out or calm down, you know? So it always varies, right? It's a really interesting realm. There's two sides, you know. There's one side where you live your dreams and your best life, but on that side, you need to be in the mindset of I want to help others, because I've seen many people that have become extreme celebrities and create a platform, but they don't care about helping others. And then there's ones that do care about helping others, and it's life changing to people. And for me, when I went through a lot of things, you know, when I went to rehab and everything, I realized like it's always kind of been a natural thing of me to want to help other people. You know, I have a story in my book about it when I was younger, and it kind of explains so many different things. And I just, it's interesting that it's just been my thing. And, you know, when you go to rehab, you have to find a lot of self-realizations, right? You have to find what is your purpose? Like, what is it that you want to do? And for me, I just knew like my purpose was to help other people, was to share my stories, because I always was so open on social media. I don't know if you noticed, but I always told so many people on social media. I have to take a sip of water because my mouth is dry because I'm talking too much. But
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that being open and authentic is an amazing thing to be. I definitely think that it comes with its consequences. When you open up and share your wounds, sometimes people like to kind of stick things in the wounds and twist it around. One thing that like I've noticed is people kind of see, like they'll look at pictures and see like you as a very attractive person, and they instantly make assumptions about the life that you live. They assume that because their struggle is loving their own image, they see people like you where they're like, I wish that I looked like this person. And in that mindset, they believe that your life is perfect, that life is just kind of laid out in front of you, and that you don't really have to work to get where you are. And I think it's interesting to kind of talk to you about how your journey started, where people were telling you you weren't going to be able to do it. You don't look a certain way. You don't have the right size. You're not the right height. Because a lot of people look at someone where they see all your pictures posted everywhere and they're just like, oh my gosh, he's just got it made. And they don't think that you have to work for anything. And I don't think people realize how hard it is to stay relevant in a world where there's new young people every single day, and there's new models coming out of the woodworks everywhere. And social media, I think algorithms play a lot of part in it. So you constantly have to be on that while also achieving all the other goals that you have set aside for yourself. And then you've got to find the balance of what is acceptable to share with the world and what do you want to keep private. And just because you want to keep something private doesn't necessarily mean that the world is going to allow you to keep it private. What are some things that you kind of do to kind of navigate through the world of social media, keeping your life private, sharing and being authentic, while you also have to deal with people who make those preconceived judgments that you've got the perfect life?
okay, so there's like a few things here. I don't know how long you have to do the live and everything, but I have a lot to say. I do. There's a very big misconception of models in the first place, right? A lot of people assume that a model walks onto a set, gets their photo taken, and walks off the set and makes $1 million. And that's just not the truth. You know, you go on, you know, it's a talent, number one. You go to 1,000,001 castings getting told no. You get your feelings hurt. You know, you get destroyed. I mean, they will go, yes, 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 no, yes, no, 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 yes. You know what I mean? And it's quite interesting. And it's not easy. It is not easy. It may, you know, I have worked a 9 to 5 job. I have run an event company. I have worked in an accountant's office on top of being a model. But I can tell you that modeling has been the hardest job out of all of them. And I think that I made a decision a long time ago, and I was told by many people, because I, you know, I have a lot of people that understand this industry and stuff like that. And they told me, you know, you're opening up yourself to the world. And once you put yourself into the public eye, there is no return. So, you know, everything that I do will always be out there, especially if you put it on the internet. And that goes for anybody. As far as the relevancy, it's like I had to stick with me. Like, there's algorithms, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about the likes anymore. I don't care if I have 1 million followers or if I have 1,000 followers, because to me, I want people to see that you can be real. Like, you don't need, like, the thing is there's so many celebrities out there, and it's really wonderful that they have a beautiful image and, you know, they have something about them and it's their thing, and they get the millions of followers because they stick to it. But for me, I'm just me. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm going to share something, I'm going to share it. Like, even when I'm in person with people, right? Like, I'm completely open. And that's why I think I love living in New York City so much. Because I could literally say, F you, and they'll be like, F you, and that's it. And then we'll love each other forever. Because that's just, it just is how it is. And I feel like, for me, it's like, I'd rather just tell someone how I'm feeling, what's going on, and like my whole situation, because then there's no room for any misconception. You know, I'll tell someone, okay, well, I just vomited on the train or something, you know, whatever, some story like that. And then, you know, what are people going to talk about you? You know what I mean? It's like, you've already said it, so there it is. And I think that's helped me a lot over the years. I don't, you know, I don't think I was necessarily always in a position to be like that, because it is hard, especially when you're younger. There's a lot of people that want to take advantage of that. And that's something that I went through a lot. There's a lot of stories in my book about that. And it's not a cry me a river book. Don't get me wrong. Like, it answers a lot of like fan questions, and it has a lot of interesting stories about my childhood that I think people don't know. And yeah, I think that I created this image of perfection because I wanted to hide behind it, right? Don't get me wrong, like, I don't always look like this. Like, I have my hair down, I have a beard sometimes, I have hair on my chest, all over my body, I wear my glasses. I actually just had to take out one of my seeing contacts, like my, you know, my actual like prescription contacts, because it was like agitating my eye beforehand. So I was like, well, I don't want to be like this the whole time on the live. And everybody's like, what's going on with his eyes? Is he tweaking out? You know, like, but it's just, you know, it is what it is. Like, I do feel like when I want to present myself to people, I want to present my best self. And this is how I feel I see fit as my best self, right? So that goes for anyone. You know, it's like, you always want to present yourself in a way that you feel most comfortable. And this is the way that I feel most comfortable. You know what I mean? This is a part of me. Being the online Kindle is a part of me. You know, it will always be. But there's also the point where I'm turning 25. I think that I'm really all about, you know, I really truly, and I'm not saying this, I don't want fame from it. I never wanted the fame. I never wanted the money. That's not what it's about for me, right? What it's about is truly helping other people. So I want Brandon to help other people. I don't, you know, it's hard because people see this Kindle and they're like, and one of the biggest things, like you said, is, oh, how can somebody so perfect be saying that I can do this or I can do that? Because he obviously must have everything handed to him, you know, and there's privilege and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's true. There is a lot of times, where I do get special treatment, but there is also more than not things that are said that hurts me extremely. And, I have mental disorders like depression and anxiety, and they're truly prescribed disorders, and they're very difficult to live with. And to be completely honest, since I am now, and that's just who I am, and I'm not going to hide things from everyone, before this call, literally an hour before, while I was getting ready, I broke down in tears because there's a lot of things that are going on in my life that are very, difficult right now. And that's just real. You know what I mean? And if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 100%, right? So if I say that I'm going to be real with people, then I'm going to be real. Like, I'm going to let people know that this is who I am, and there's no getting around it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing anything for a publicity stunt, don't have a publicist, it's just who I am.
Yeah, I feel like our industries are a little bit different. I did modeling for a little bit and jumped out really fast just because I was not mentally prepared for the negativity that you were talking about. It's crazy how quickly they point out every single flaw that you have. I got told that I wasn't a high-end model, that they could see me possibly modeling for Walmart. And that hurt a little bit, but I now that I'm a little bit older, I'm okay with that. I didn't really want to go down that path, but I'm doing life coaching now, which I really enjoy. And I think that you yourself would be very good at something like that as well. But within my industry, I feel like youth is something that is looked down upon. They look as if I have not lived enough years to understand life, to give advice on life. Whereas I feel like when it comes to modeling, it's almost like youth is what people try to cling on to for as long as they can. When it comes to modeling, what is something that because now you're talking about being your most authentic self, you're talking about wanting to help people, how do you plan on doing that, and how is that affecting your mental health when it comes to an industry that is always telling you you need to look young, I want you to shave your face, you look too old doing this, we need you to look like you're 15 still. How does that affect your mental health?
Well, here's the thing. I've been doing this for 10 years, right? I've been having people say things about me since I was younger because I'm out of jealousy. You know what I mean? But then I had people saying, you look like a model. Your son should be a model. There's so many aspects and everything to that question that it's very hard to answer. But the way that I would answer that question is I'm me, even this book, okay, I know I'm talking about it a lot, but it's it's all I've been doing because I want to pour my heart, I want to put everything into it. So it's for me, I'm telling every true story. Are people going to try to come after me? Are people probably going to share videos of me when I was drunk and out and, in my bad days? Are people going to attack me? Yes, but have people been doing that for 10 years online? Yes. You know what I mean? It's and you know what you should tell people too when they tell you the Walmart thing? Tell them to F off, because you know how much models get paid to do a Walmart campaign? Several $1,000s. And the shoot is, the fitting's probably 20 minutes and the shoot's probably an hour. So anyway, but other than that, it's I have to say, it's been very difficult doing this book. It's been very difficult to share my sobriety online because people are using it against me. I've had people, my eyes are very big. You know what I mean? So if I hold my eyes like this, then people may assume that I'm, crazy, or I may be on, some kind of drug. And so people have taken screenshots when I'm on video or live with my eyes like this. Screenshot, everybody. And sent it to me and said, oh, wow, you must have relapsed. You must be on drugs again. And it's just crazy to me. But you know what? Every time people say things like you're going to relapse, or people say things like you're not good enough, it just drives me, because I want to prove, it's proof to myself. I'm not proving to them. I want to prove to myself that I can do it because I want to do it, right? I have goals and I set those goals, and then I have smaller goals to lead to those goals. You know what I mean? And I will work until I get to those goals. It does not matter what people say or what they do. But there was a point in my life where I just couldn't take it anymore because there was a lot of things that happened that will be in the book that I just got drained. You know what I mean? Like there comes to a point where you just, you get broken. Everybody gets broken. It's a natural thing. Everybody gets sad. Everybody gets happy. Everybody gets excited. Those are normal things to have. You know what I mean? And I think like what comes into play a lot of times is people think that because they're sad about something, they must have, it must be depression. You know what I mean? Or like if somebody's anxious about something, they must have anxiety. Like that's it. And then all that does is like develop this thing where it constantly is in your head. And so you do develop it because that's all you think about. And, but these are normal emotions to have. And I'm happy to have them. If it's going to even help one singular person of me telling my story and sharing my life and my experiences, if it helps just one single person, then I'm happy. Like when I see things from people on my social media that are like, I think my first message I ever got that like changed my world about like, oh, I'm not just about me. This isn't just about me. It's about the other people that I can help, was when I think I was 18 years old. And this person told me, thank you so much. Your post last night kept me from committing suicide. That was crazy. That was mind blowing. I was like, oh my gosh. And being an 18-year-old, I'm impressionable. At the time, I didn't know how to handle that. It was like, at the time then, it was like, wow, this is a lot of weight on my shoulders because if what I say and do can make that much of an impact on somebody else's life, then what I say and do better be good. What I say and do better actually be what I want and what I actually believe. So when I promote a product, I believe in that product. If I start not liking something, I'm going to say I don't like it anymore. It's like not even that, it's everything. And I was coming to a point when I was in this very deep, dark depression the past 2 years before rehab, that I was just self-destructing, and that wasn't good for anyone. And I was so scared to go because I was so worried that I wouldn't be able to help everyone. But how can you help other people if you can't help yourself, right? So that's when it just finally sunk in, and it was like, time to go get help.
So one thing that you kind of talked about was like if you support a brand, then you're going to like understand and support that brand. One thing that I've been noticing is that a lot of people reach out to you once you start to hit higher numbers on social media. I've definitely here recently, especially in 2020, where a lot of people seem to get very offended very quickly. I posted a picture in a t-shirts that a company sent me because they wanted me to promote their company. And I was like, yeah, sure. The t-shirt had a great message. But after I posted it, I had a lot of people reaching out to me saying that that company was using the LGBT company, that they've done things that aren't very supportive of the LGBT or the Black Lives Matter. And I was getting attacked on my end for just wearing a shirt. I've never stood for any of that, to the point where I ended up taking the post down. But something that I think is really like prevalent in today's society is the cancel culture that exists. Like, I feel like it's almost to the point where you can't be too opinionated. You can't really share too much, or it almost seems like all it takes is one person that doesn't like your message and they just gather a group of people to just try to take you down. Like, is that something that you've experienced with anything that you've done?
It's happened for, yes, years and years and years. It's like, sometimes you just got to say you can't win for losing. It's like, the thing about it is that I believe what I believe, but I always think that there's room to grow. And I think that that's something a lot of people have been talking about, is this cancel culture, right? And this is kind of a hard topic to talk about right now, right? Because we all know that this is gonna get some heads and eyes rolling. But the thing is like, we're human beings, okay? I know that you know now that you're gaining a following, and that you it's really interesting because I've seen a lot of people grow that I used to, see, like, because I started so young, but people thought I was older, right? So it was like, you know, everybody that was younger that was growing up, we were actually the same age. It's just that I had already been working, in the industry and creating this whole online thing. So I got to experience a lot of it sooner. But I realized that a lot of influencers or anybody in the industry that had watched me 10 years ago and then came into it have come to me and been like, hey, now I understand what you were going through. You know what I mean? And it isn't easy. When you put yourself out there and in the public eye, you're out there. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 people watching you, 100 people watching you, or 1 million people watching you. You are out there and people are watching you. And, growing up, I don't know if you watched a lot of movies about like big celebrities and all of that. Well, we can't create that anymore. There will never be this A-list celebrity like a Cher or a Mariah or Madonna anymore because of social media. There will never be that again. But now we have this world where there's a whole bunch of little celebrities, you know what I mean? And everybody can attach to the one that they like the most. But with that always comes haters. There will always come people that don't like you. There will always be people that don't agree with you. There will always be people that, just want to attack you because they're hurting that day. And here's the thing. You don't know, we as people, anybody on social media does not know what that person is going through. Anybody in school, kids, they don't know what that kid that is bullying them is going on, what's going on in their home, right? So it makes it very difficult to handle a lot of situations. I think in schools, it makes it very difficult to handle a lot of situations, right? I think online, it makes it difficult for them to handle a lot of situations because now there's millions and millions and millions of users, right? So all we can do as a culture and as a community is try to stop hate, stop cancel culture, stop racism. All we can do is try. But there will always be people that will be against us for whatever we try to do. Political views, racial views, gender views, all of these things. There will always be someone or tons of someones that don't agree with you, right? And what we have to do is we have to just keep going. And we have to understand that those people do not matter to our everyday life. Now, one thing I do have to say is if it is something that is, if it is something that is going to be a physical harm or a threat of some kind, I would suggest probably telling an adult or going to the local authority because I've had to do that before. I've also had crazy stalkers, and I think once you get to a certain level, that's when those things come into play, where like you have people that literally do it in real life. And the thing is when your whole life is online and you're being completely authentic, anyone can do anything to you. Anybody can say anything about you and make up a whole story using all of your information. And that's when some things need to be kept personal because there's legal aspects, right? There's things that people can do and say that, oh, well, I was also at that party and this happened to me because they don't like me because I didn't pay attention to them, right? Because there was a million other people talking to me and I just didn't have the time. So there's things like that where like you have to keep some things personal and personable, whatever. But yeah, so the thing is when you have haters and stuff, it's it's hard because you will hurt, and 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 it will take time, and it will stick in the back of your head. But that's why I think it's super important to have like a good foundation, like somebody to talk to, like a therapist, a doctor, somebody who has a better understanding of how to help you with these things. While being a life coach and being an influencer or a model or somebody like me and you is amazing, there is a point, where it's more important. Like, I think that schools don't have enough therapists and stuff like that. And there's things that need to change, and the world needs a lot of it. The world needs a lot of change for, the BLM. The world needs a lot of change for gay rights. The world, and it's a constant battle, and it always will be. And that's why one of my favorite subjects was history. And I hope I'm not rambling too much, but
No, you're good.
One of my favorite subjects was history, because history goes in a circle. And there will always be, oh, hello, Siri. I said history, not Siri. But it's interesting because things go in a circle, and we have to learn from our mistakes, not only as an individual, but as an entire population, as an entire world, and the thing is that while having good things is great and having bad things is bad, we also wouldn't have human life without bad things, good things, happy things, sad things, anxiety. There would be no different levels to life. We would all be robots. Do you know what I mean? So if people think about it like that, if I think about it like that, it kind of helps me, right? It helps you understand that without that, there wouldn't be this whole human being race. Animals, have similar traits. They love to be loved. Like, I watched a few documentaries recently. One of them was about sharks, and these people had made a connection with the sharks, and the sharks would come back to them for more love and affection, and they would pet the sharks, and that's crazy to think about. But at the end of the day, we're all animals and humans, and it's a cycle of life. But all we can do is try to make better in this world, to try to leave a positive mark on this planet,
Yeah. So one thing I kind of want to touch on, because I've dealt with this and I'd like to hear your perspective on it, is there's a lot of people that message me on a regular basis, and I don't think a lot of people realize how full someone's inbox can become. I try to scroll through and respond to as many people as possible because I know that it means something to them. But a lot of people don't realize that when someone that gets a lot of attention posts something like, I'm feeling very lonely, I'm alone, even when we are constantly being messaged by people that are complete strangers, I don't think that people can fully understand what it means to be lonely in a world where you are constantly being messaged by tons of strangers. Because there's been a lot of times where, like, I've got tons of friends, I've got tons of people, I've got messages in my inbox waiting to be answered, but there's like a loneliness because I feel like a lot of people don't understand. Even I live in rural Virginia, so most people I live around don't understand me at all. They assume that just because thousands of people are messaging, thousands of people like my pictures, that there's no way that I can experience loneliness. So is that something that you've experienced where you kind of had to explain yourself to the people around you, like, hey, like, I'm experiencing this and it's real. It's not fake. Thousands of likes don't equal like feeling like you're not alone.
Yeah, so I have so much to say about this. As everything else, so much to say. That is a huge thing. And I experienced that very early on, and that's the thing about it that people don't understand. The way that I can compare it is people say New York City is the loneliest place on earth. And people say, why? How? Right? There's so many people, and you're always walking by so many people, and there's so many people in the restaurants and in the streets, and da-da-da. Because that's not a real relationship. Okay, and as far as the topic of, thousands of messages and not being able to respond to everyone, yeah, there's a lot of people that get mad at you too about that, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't answer everyone. And the thing is like, you have to do you, right? At the end of the day, as far as going back to the topic of loneliness, it's a very lonely world, right? And it's also a world where you don't really feel great about yourself much, because you get all these compliments online, or you get all these people that want to have sex with you online, or whatever it may be, or all these photos. It's like, oh wow, but over time that doesn't mean anything anymore. And I think people feed off that. We feed off of that. We would be lying if we said that. I have to be honest, like, we would be lying if we said we don't like the attention, that we don't crave it. The thing is like, we do crave the attention, but it is extremely lonely. And it's not all about the attention. It's about helping others, right? And that's what you and I think, can relate on. But I think that it's lonely because it's not real life. It's lonely because it only goes as far as whoever you are on that social media platform. It's lonely because those people don't love you. They love the idea of you, right? And I had somebody tell me this, that is pretty, well known or whatever, famous or celebrity, and that because they had been hurt so many times by other people, that they were like, you don't like me, you like the idea of me, right? And that's something that stuck with me, and that's something that I realized people do to me. And I think that when I put the position for myself as to be this doll, this toy for people to play with, that's what I am to people. I'm this toy, this plastic figure that doesn't have a brain, has no talent, has no heart, and people can do or say whatever they want to me, right? And that's why I'm doing this book, to show people that that's not really the case. I'm doing this because we're doing this interview right now because we need to talk about these things, because people do not realize what people go through in a position of just, any influencer or any person of influence, right? And I don't necessarily like to call myself an influencer. I'd like to say that I'm influential in a lot of ways, because I've seen it and I've heard from other people that I've, influenced something upon them. But I think that it's a very interesting world. On one hand, you have your friends, but you never really know if, I have my 3 close best friends, or 4 or 5, and that's it now. Because I went through a lot of work to figure out who truly was mine. And it will take a long vetting process before I let, somebody else completely in, because it's hard to really know what people want. And we live in a world where people need to survive. So, and people also love to social climb. And people also love to get things easy. And so they will use you for whatever you have. It doesn't matter if you are a social media person, a celebrity, or a 9-to-5 worker. Even in the workplace, people will use you for everything you have, even if it's not the position that you're working in. And it is how we live. It's sadly the world, it's sadly a part of a culture of the world that we live in. I think that when you're in our position, it's different. Or I can't speak for you, right? I'm not going to speak for you. But for me, in my position, I've always kind of just been on my journey to my goals. I've never been like stalking someone, or this is like, I have two really big idols, right? I have one is Cher, which I developed when I was younger, traveling, road trips with my grandma. And the other is Amy Schumer. She helped me get through some hard times, right? But I never was this person to be like social. I just didn't understand. I've never been able to truly understand the concept, but I've seen it a lot. And and I've even been accused of it, which is interesting because that's never been, I think that the reason that I have a lot of friends that are bigger in the industry is because I'm not like that. You know what I mean? And because I'm not like, I have to get a picture with you, or like, I need to know everything about you. Because even if you're not an influencer, even if it weren't the world that we're living in, say you're just in every, you're working in a different position or something, it's hard to find your true friends. It doesn't matter what you do. Like, the world is a lonely place, and we strive to find someone, or not, and we strive to find people that we can create a family out of. And even sometimes your own family isn't going to be the people that are your blood family isn't going to be your family, you know? And so it's a difficult, nothing's easy in life. We have to work for it. We have to figure it out. We have to figure out what it is that we want, and what the other people that we allow in our life want, and what we're willing to deal with, and what we're willing to handle. You know what I mean? And relationships should be a two-way street, period. What you can give that they don't have, you give to them. And what they can give that you don't have, they give to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's a two-way street. It's never about it's never about one person. That's why you call it a relationship. And I'm not speaking about just like being partners, or in a boyfriend girlfriend, or boyfriend boyfriend, or girlfriend girlfriend,
All the
relationship,
other ones.
or LGBTQIA XYZ. Relationship, I'm talking about in general. That's why you call it a relationship, because you're relating and sharing with one another. And I'm gonna let you talk.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to the people that you keep in your life, like, there are a limited spots when it comes to how close you can be. I know that I've had to really work on, because I am running my own business. I do have YouTube and my social media, which I've been taking seriously. And I also work for a corporate company to do these leadership things. So my life is very busy, and there's a lot of spare time that a lot of times I want to just be by myself. But I also feel like I'm so busy that there's a lot of people that I care about that I do want to spend time with. And schedules don't always line up to where it's easy to see the people that I care about. And one of like my biggest, like, so for me, because I've got so much going on, I'm very scheduled, and like everything has to be scheduled. And when people cancel on me, like, it's a big slap in my face, especially if like I knew that I pushed other people to the side to make room for those people, especially when it's people that I care about or I'm trying to get to know on a deeper level. And when it comes to the life that I live, there's some people who don't fully understand it, but I almost feel like those are the people that keep me most grounded, because the social media world can definitely suck you into it and spit you out. And I've had a lot of people, like, I've had to surround myself with people who are YouTubers, are influencers on the internet, because when times get really hard, my friends that aren't part of that, their advice is to give it all up. And
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I was just talking to my mom about that.
but for like me, like, I do, like you were saying, like, you have to like have a positive message. You have to put value out into the world and help people, and that's always been my focus. So I've always been trying to find ways to promote happiness, positivity, getting out there and running for your dreams no matter what other people are saying. But it's hard when the type of thing that you do is very unique. Not a lot of people do stuff in social media. And when it comes to like modeling, yes, there's people in that world, but compared to the rest of the world, you are a very small percentage of the person in your career field, how do you kind of like navigate through having people in your life that really don't understand everything that goes into the career that you've chosen for yourself?
Here's the thing. I've had therapist upon therapist upon therapist, that's like, you know, maybe you should just stop that life. And what I say is, how long have you been a psychiatrist for or therapist for? And they tell me, however many years or whatever. And I'm like, so do you think that you should quit your job? Because I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, I don't want to be told that I need to quit this because this is my passion. This is my art. This is my love. This is my dream, right? Now I'm a business owner of 2 businesses, right? I am about to be a published author of 2 books, and if I had quit, I would never have reached these other goals. You know what I mean? I help people, and it was always about creating a platform to get to a place where I could actually help people, right? So yes, there was all these shirtless pictures and and maybe I did some other things that got attention, but in turn, it created a platform for me to be able to actually help people, and that was always the goal. It was never the fame, and it was never about money. And that's a big thing too, we need to talk about. People think that once you have this little bit of fame or whatever, maybe D-list, I don't know what people call me, but that you're rich. And even on this net worth online, it's hilarious. It says I'm worth like $2 million. I'm like, where's that money at, girl? I would love that. You know what I mean? And going back to the right topic, what we're talking about is never give up, and people won't understand. You know what I mean? And our parents, come from a different generation, right? How old are you?
32.
32. Okay, yeah. So you're a millennial too, right?
Yes.
So our generation grew up in a whole time where everything was brand new, right? The generation after us, it's not brand new. They grew up with it. Like, and the generation before us, and then our parents' generation have no idea. Like, they can't understand it. They cannot grasp it. They don't get it, right? So in this world we live in, it's like, how do we get to a place where we can explain it? Well, there's been points where I've just been like, you know what? I don't think that we can talk anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, if you can't be supportive of my entire life for the past 10 years, or however many years you do it, it doesn't matter if it's that long, then, I mean, it's just, I can't have that negativity in my life, right? So it comes to a point where it's like, okay, well, bye. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. You don't have to people don't have to, there's a billion gazillion people on this earth, right? So if they're hurting you or telling you something that hurts your feelings or telling you something that you shouldn't do what you love to do, then okay, you try to explain it to them and they don't want to agree, or you try to actually talk it out with them and they don't want to understand, then okay, bye, girl. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? It's like, there's only so far you can take it.
Yeah, I definitely, I started with the coming out story on accident on my YouTube channel on accident when YouTube didn't really exist. I kind of uploaded it because I was just tired of explaining myself to 1,000 people when I came out. And it was 15 minutes long, and I couldn't put it on Facebook because at the time Facebook only allowed you to post like 2 minutes or shorter. So someone suggested uploading it to YouTube, which had no clue what it was. I just thought it was a platform to upload videos and then share the link. I didn't realize that I uploaded it to a huge public platform. So my coming out story was like one of the original coming out stories on YouTube by accident. And that channel grew really quickly, and I didn't even know because I never went back to it. I uploaded it, and all I looked at were the comments on my Facebook link. And someone reached out to me about 3 years after it was posted and asked me how I dealt with all the hate comments. I'd never seen them. When I went back and looked, I probably had over 300,000 comments, and it just took scrolling for like a minute or two to just be done with the comments. I couldn't handle it anymore because there was just so much negativity. And when I came out in 2008, it was very different for the LGBT people than it is now, where it's widely accepted. You've got access to 1,000 gay people online that can be your support system for you. I definitely think that it's important to kind of be aware that times have changed. You definitely hit it right on the head with like the life that our parents thought existed does not exist for us. Taking advice from really old generations isn't really helpful for us. I mean, I
Well, the
sit
thing is
here.
it's almost like it's not completely relatable, right? Because they did go through the AIDS pandemic. They're what and I think that's also another thing that scares parents when their kids come out, because if their parents are in their 50s to 60s, or 40s to 60s, they lived through that, or any age really. I mean, that's old enough to be during that time period. So I think they're scared. I mean, they're scared that their children or their child is going to get it and die or something. And we're just in a different time. And a lot of them don't understand that we have medications for it now and blah 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 blah. But it was a completely different time, and they had their different problems that they had to deal with, whereas we had our problems that we had to deal with, which was online, which was millions of people. And that it's not one or the other is not worse, right? But I do have to say that we did also have to go through our own kind of pandemic, in being gay, and that was social media. That was people calling us the F word on social media, people calling us, stupid little, cocksucker. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it because that's just who I am. Sorry. But, and the thing about it is that, I guess the whole moral of all of this is that we need to be able to get past the hate. We need to still help one another. We need to love one another. Ellen's been working for years for that, and it has made a huge impact on the world. But even now, look at her being hurt as well. It's like, it's crazy because you just never know. All you can do is try. All you can do is keep trying to stay positive, work on your positivity. All you can do is try to say F the haters, and
Yeah.
and never, never is anything so bad that you should take your own life, and I think that that's where we've come. That's where we've come to. I've lost 7 people during this pandemic. Okay, and social media probably had a huge part of that, because I saw what happened to some people, and it just looked, it was just not right. And we don't, unless we completely get rid of social media altogether, which in our cases, our stuff will always be there. Like, it's never going to go away. Even if we apply for a job in the future, they will always see it when they do their background search. It's just never going to go away. So for us, we must keep striving. We must keep moving forward. We must keep working on telling people things like how we've talked this whole live. I think that this was amazing. I'm so glad you reached out to me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Number
no
one.
problem.
I really enjoyed the communication with one another. Sometimes it's very difficult to talk about these things with other people, and this was really easy and great. But yeah, that's the thing. It's hard for people to. It's always going to be hard for certain people to understand things. It's always going to be the case that people don't know you. Like, maybe that's something. Do people feel like they know you, like they're your best friend? And that's great. You want people to feel that way, right? Like, that's the purpose, so you can help them. But then there's the people that take a picture with you in public, post it online, use it on Grindr. There's just things that are like
Yeah.
interesting. Correct.
I feel like a lot of people, because they were interviewing the youth and asking them what their dream job was, and a YouTuber was the number one job. Um, and I think a lot of people don't realize what that entails and what it means to share your opinion online. Because every single time people ask me if I can help them start their platform or if we can do a collab and talk to each other, I always tell them to get started, try on their own, because I think it's really important. And I think that the reason why you're such a strong person in your ability to be authentic is you started from zero and you had a slow rising and building to who you are today, where today it's really easy to go very quickly to the top, but I think it's important to build a foundation that, because what I've learned as I've grown is just you've got to kind of let the negativity and bad comments roll off your shoulders. It definitely affected me a lot more at the beginning than it does now. But when you gain instant success, you aren't dealing with one or two people. You are dealing with instantly thousands of people sending you hateful messages, like you were saying, where you might have 1 million
Or
followers and then you've got
nudes,
5,000 hateful
you know,
messages.
or nudes or inappropriate messages, or, basically online molestation, just, and that's the thing. You can have the instant, but that's entering a whole new realm that you just don't know. You know what I mean? And I was lucky enough to grow with the times of Instagram. I was lucky enough to grow with the fashion industry as it changed, and it doesn't sadly really exist the same way anymore. It doesn't, because of social media. And that's sad. I do miss the real fashion world, because I love that world, and I think that's why I continue to try to create um, real magic and stuff. And I don't care if I get 300 likes on that or something. You know what I mean? Because it's what I love. I think that kids don't know what they're getting themselves into. I think that the parents don't know what they're getting their kids into. Because it's like all the parents now that are millennials want to like turn their kids into social media stars. And what if their kids don't want to, right? Like, what if their kids don't want to be all over the internet? What if their kids grow up and that's not their thing, but now they're there? You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, but that's existed already. All the things that are happening online and on social media now happened already before. Think about little pageants with little girls, think about dance moms, think about, all these things. They existed before. They really did. It was just in a different realm that not so many people could touch. You know what I mean? It was in a different realm where not everyone can say, I F you, and not everyone can see one bad thing someone did one time. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a that's an interesting topic in general, because that takes me down so many roads where I'm like, it's like, and in my book, I do explain, if you want to come into modeling and you want to be a YouTuber and all of that, I explain, what are tips and advice and everything like that. And I touch on a lot of things. But what I will talk about on here is that, be sure you know what you're getting yourself into first. And I think that's with any job. With any job, you need to know what you're getting yourself into first. Just like an interview, you would research the job, and you would understand what the company's all about. Maybe reach out to a few people that work there, or a friend that might have worked there before, so you know what it's like, what the environment's like. So you kind of get an idea of like what you're getting yourself into. And I think now another purpose of mine, showing the real side of everything, is that you want people to understand what the reality of it is. I think that there's a lot of things on Netflix and YouTube and everything where people are like, this is my real life. But it's like, I know it's not. I lived in
Yeah.
LA. I saw it. I saw what real life was. You know what I mean? And it wasn't your real life. And I think, like, for me, a lot of things that I posted wasn't my real life either. And I do blame myself because I was one of the people at the very beginning of Instagram, Insta fame or whatever, to share, you know, these photos of things that were very luxurious and none of the bad things. But I chose to do that because why would I want to share with the world negative things that are going on? This was a place that I wanted to escape to. So, you know, it's important that we show, you know, the true reality. But I also, you know, I posted pictures on private jets and on private helicopters, but that was my life. That was not me making a fake life. That wasn't me taking a photo, you know, with somebody else's car in a parking lot. You know what I mean? It's like, and that was my reality. So I think that what it's created is a monster. And so all of us that started creating this monster, I feel have to start getting rid of this monster because
reeling it back in.
yes, because the thing is like, it should have never gotten to this level. And I see kids, you know, do things that they should, that they never wanted to do, that they don't want to be doing, because they want this lifestyle that they saw growing up, that they saw us doing growing up, right? And it's really not the reality of it. Like, that's not really how it worked. I mean, I worked as an accountant on the side when I first moved to New York City, you know? I had side jobs, you know, and it was like, but I wasn't sharing that part of it. You know, I was having to host, you know, I hosted parties at clubs to make my side money. Did I really want to be doing that? It was like something I had to do to make money, to also live my dream. And I think that now there's this whole daddy culture, and that ruins relationships as well, right? Because, can I talk about that now? Sorry, I
Yeah,
know.
go for it.
I think like there's the whole daddy culture, and I think that that hurts relationships. Because me personally, I like older men. It's always been a thing of mine. I'm attracted to them. I like their maturity, and we vibe on the same level. But because of this daddy culture, they have been hurt now, you know, or everybody thinks that because you're younger and you're dating an older man, that it's a transaction. And that's not always the case. There can be true love between an older man and a younger man. But when a heterosexual couple does it, it's not oh, that must be her sugar daddy. You know what I mean? Like, or it's like he must be taking care of her completely, or she must be taking care of him completely, or whatever. But, you know, but it has created this world where like young kids do go to LA and they cycle through the same people and they live with the same older men that do say like, oh, well, things, do things for certain things. You know, I'm not going to say it, because that's their prerogative, and, you know, I'm not against it. That's the thing. I'm not against any of that. What I am against is people doing it that don't want to do it. Because what that creates is things inside of you that will, you know, in turn eat you and eat you and eat at you and eat at you and create this thing that you just don't want to have. And I can tell you from experience.
Yeah, that's what I've always told people. I was like, I don't believe that we should ever judge anyone for their own actions, because we don't know anything more than they've shown us. And then when it comes to your actions, I've always just told people, like, never do something that makes you feel bad about yourself after you've done it, because that does really destroy you as a person. But never push your values and your views upon someone else, because someone else who might be able to hook up with multiple people and they enjoy that and it makes them feel good and it doesn't make them feel bad about themselves at all. There's nothing wrong with that. There's people out there that are in adult film industry and they do that and they enjoy the work that they do. And to judge them for that is really hurtful in a lot of different ways, especially since you aren't aware of their situation. When it comes to anyone's profession, anyone can be judged for what they're doing. I've had people who were extremely smart in high school and they chose not to go the college route. They wanted to be a mom. And right. People made them feel horrible for wanting to choose that life path when right. they were top of their class. And I just think there's too many people out there that feel like they have to pressure or push people into feeling bad about the life choices they've made. if it's your life choice, make sure it makes you happy. You should
Right.
always focus on what makes you happy.
That's yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is like it's like if it does make you happy, I love it. You know what I mean? Like as long as you're not hurting someone else, go, you know. But the thing is like when I talk about like what we're talking about right now, when I say all these things, this is just my, you know, views from it, my own experience, right?
Exactly.
I'm
That's
not a
all we
doctor.
can ever really give.
Yeah, we're not doctors, we're not therapists, you know, like this is just from experience. This is, you know, what we've seen. And something that I also want to talk about is why don't we talk about how do you feel about the saying that this is how I feel, that I think that our community is one of the most loving but hating on each other communities that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Because I did live in a straight world of modeling and, you know, in the clubs. And then I lived also in the gay world of the clubs. And I saw so much more love in the straight ones than I see in the gay ones because I just have seen so many people be so mean and so demeaning and so petty. And you know what I mean? And it's like, it's just sad. Like, it's really sad. It's sad that we fight so hard for our
For equality.
community to be able to be free and be who we are, and then we judge each other.
Yeah.
And I can't say that, like, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Like, I'm sure there's been points where we've judged people, but it is, like, so prevalent. Is it, do you agree? Or, I mean,
Yeah, it's been like thankfully the LGBT like content creators that I've got to do panels with in the United States, I've been able to find really, really welcoming. I think the YouTube community is very unique in that sense, but I do sometimes feel like I spend so much of my life fighting for equality and helping the young gay people learn how to accept themselves and love themselves for being gay and whatever else they want to be. But I also feel like I have had to remove myself from the LGBT community because it is extremely toxic sometimes. And I was just talking to someone on the phone earlier about it's weird because, like, in the gay community, you can have friends, but at the end of the day, you are still each other's competition when it comes to finding a partner and stuff like that. And I think that that usually makes for a very rotten relationship. I've had people that I've considered my really, really, really close friends in the gay community come to find out that someone that they liked me, didn't like them. So they decided to start spreading rumors about me, saying that I've slept with everyone in the state of Virginia. And when I moved back to Virginia, it was because I wanted to be closer to my family. And a rumor started that I moved back to Virginia from Florida because I got HIV because I was such a slut. And it was extremely hurtful. But once I
sorry, I'm not
cracked it
laughing
down,
because I'm not laughing because that's a funny thing. I'm laughing because I've had these things happen to myself as well. It's so relatable.
yeah,
But go ahead. Sorry.
it's rough because I'm the type of person that I try to be so nice to everyone. I try to be kind to everyone that I come in contact with. And it's crazy. I moved to a town where the gay community was very small. And when you look a certain way, when you come into a town and you're fresh meat, everyone's attention is on you. And by no fault of my own, I wasn't trying to date anybody. I was just trying to find some grounding and start a new life in Virginia. And it got so toxic that I was just like, I can't go out to the clubs. I don't want to be around people. I only want straight friends. My 26th birthday, my rule was no gay people. I don't want any gay people at this party, just because I wanted to be able to let loose and not feel like every movement I made was being judged or used against me. But it's crazy. Like, I
Well, the
fight
thing
so
is,
hard.
that's not even against like this topic isn't even against the gay community at all. It's just there are times though that you want to be around people that you can just feel comfortable with, and I can relate. I can relate to that where I'm like, sometimes I just need to escape and, like go to the middle of the woods. But at the end of the day, I mean, the truth about it is, though, we do feed off that as well. So you can't like necessarily say like, oh, that's all horrible. You know what I mean? Like there is some parts of it where it's like, okay, that's nice. Like I feel good about myself, but also no. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth, right? And
Yeah.
but I see what you're saying. The thing about it is it doesn't matter. That brings another topic. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter where you move yourself to, even if you move yourself across the world, because I've worked in other countries and lived in them, like it does not matter. Home is where the heart is, right? That's a saying that they say. And it's important that people know that like it doesn't matter where you go. It's always going to be there's always going to be haters and there's always going to be lovers and there's always going to be users and there's always going to be people that just want sex from you, and that's just the truth. And I'm sorry you had to go through that, and I feel really bad, about that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I it's interesting because I went to the big cities and lived for when I turned 18, I moved out of the state of Virginia and I lived in bigger cities and it was almost nicer for me because I was like a fly on the wall. I could observe. I wasn't the center of attention. And it's funny because people assume that because I have a large following that I do lives and I'm comfortable talking in public that I enjoy being the center of attention, which I don't love that. If I walk into a room and everyone looks at me, I get uncomfortable. And in the smaller towns and going to LGBT things, like it is a little bit more uncomfortable. I had Lynchburg do their first Pride here, and they asked me to be a part of it, and I couldn't do it because I didn't want to be the center of attention. And I had just previously done DC Pride where it kind of went extremely wrong and made me feel really unsafe being gay in public. And Lynchburg being Liberty University, the biggest Christian university in the world, that's just kind of spreads out the hate the gays, but in a loving way.
Yeah, well, I mean, even in I was attacked in Miami during Gay Pride one time. I was just hosting, and I had just left the place I was hosting, and somebody actually in a gay bar just attacked me. So I can understand, and I'm sorry to hear that. I think that people will always look at you. It doesn't matter if you're in the public eye or not. You know what I mean? People are going to look at you. The only advice I can give to that, if you're asking for it, I don't know, kind of like interrupted. Just because, I mean, it's just like you've got to do you, right? You're living, you're on your own mission, so you continue your own mission. If they come up and want to talk or whatever, okay, but it's like you're on your own mission, and that's what I've always told myself, because I know that I get looked at. It doesn't matter if they're thinking that maybe they're just looking at me because they want to make fun of me. Maybe they're looking at me because they think I look crazy, or because I'm wearing boots, or because I'm wearing, whatever it may be. Maybe they know me. Who knows? But that's been happening since I was a child. So even my best girlfriend the other day, she was like, it wasn't the other day, it was a few weeks ago or something. We were with a group of people and people were like, do you ever like feel weird when people are like, look at you? You must get looked at a lot nowadays. And she was like, that's been happening since he was like, since we were like 12. People would come up and ask for photos, and I wasn't even modeling yet, and stuff like that. So it's just, you have to just think of it as like, you chose to do what you're doing. It's a part of it. You know what I mean? It's part of the job.
Yeah, I'm I'm realizing that my personal life definitely is something that I've opened up for the public. I've gone out to LGBT things is usually where people start to recognize me, and I'm okay with it. I feel like it's perfectly fine that people come up to me. I'm a lot more awkward in person than I am on social media. So when people approach me and they're freaking out and shaking because they're finally meeting me in person, I get awkward because I feel like I'm just a normal person. And you don't need to do that. I'm not Cher or Madonna. I'm just a normal person. But one thing that I didn't realize is that does affect your friendships. That does affect your relationships because your friends didn't sign up for that. Uh, like when people pull out their cameras and start taking pictures of you, it makes your friends uncomfortable. And then that makes me uncomfortable because my friends and family didn't sign up for that. I know that I did a video with my mom and she had a tooth that was missing and she got blasted and I felt horrible.
That's
Uh,
horrible.
and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, because I knew my mom was insecure about that. And thankfully, since then, like, I had someone actually reach out to me through my social media and say, hey, I want to help pay for your mom to have that fixed. And I was extremely grateful for it. But I've definitely worried about when it comes to relationships because I've had a lot of relationships where they're just like, I don't want to be a part of your social media. I don't want to be tagged. I don't want you to post pictures. And then I feel like I'm starting to be like more private. And then when people are asking me, oh, are you in a relationship? I'm like, yeah, you're not allowed to see him. He is
That's
secret. But I feel like I'm okay with my life going down the route that it's going, but I am starting to realize that my friends that I do cherish their friendship aren't okay with it. So I'm having to really find a way to make both worlds work and not like ruin the friendships and relationships that I do
Well, that will be a forever challenge. So good luck, because I'm still working on that
have.
as well. But the relationship thing. Woo! Okay. That's hard. It's really hard because it's like at one point you want people to know so they don't, so people know so they don't keep trying to like ask you to date them or sending you unsolicited photos that you don't want or whatever it may be. But then you have all these people that will try to get your boyfriend, or vice versa, or it's like you want to keep it personal, so but then people want to try to come in and try to destroy it by sending one person, oh, look at this, and like this is what this person said and this is what that person said, and and like, but you have to have trust, you know what I mean? Like a major thing in a relationship is you have to have trust for one another. If you do not have that, it does not work. So if posting makes you feel better, then they must have the faith in you. And if not posting makes it feel better, then don't post. But that's for like a lot of the things we're talking about on this is for anyone, right? And the lighting is bad now, but it's for
Yeah,
anyone.
mine's getting really dark.
Yeah, it's for anyone. If you choose to put your relationship on social media, it is out there, and everybody is welcome in to say whatever they want. You know what I mean? And then if you're somebody with a lot of following and stuff, it's 10 times worse because a lot of people want to be with you, or they want to date you, or they want to date the person you're with because they think that that person must be amazing if you're dating them. It's like it's a whole thing, and it does make things hard, and it's hard because you want to have somebody that can relate, or you want to have, but we're all hurt, you know what I mean? Everybody's hurt, and especially in the gay community, we're all hurt. We were made fun of. We were, told that like it's a sin. We were, all these things, right? We're all hurt people. Okay, and it's not just gays. Like it's everybody has things that have hurt them. And so there's things that happen that can cause all kinds of problems in relationships, and there's things that can happen, that aren't social media that hurt it, and but at the end of the day, it's like, you put it up there, it's there, and I think that sometimes I can add an extra stress because if you put it out there, it's like, am I staying in this because it's online, or am I staying in this because I love them? Like, what am I going to say to everybody? Well, you don't have to say anything. If you do put it up there and decide to put it up there, but then whatever happens, happens, and you take it, you don't have to, there's nobody, you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. That's period. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to say, like, it's because I'm not a therapist, blah, blah, blah. It's the truth. Nobody, no random person deserves an explanation from you.
Yeah,
You know,
I've definitely I went through bringing my boyfriend in relationship onto my platform. This is a boyfriend that was 2 years ago, and it ended. It didn't end well. We both, I would say, I tried to be very adult about the whole situation, but the social media aspect definitely played a role in how I was able to handle things, because people did start prying. People did start noticing he wasn't in the photos anymore. He wasn't in the videos anymore. I was giving compliments to guys online, to where people are like, he's got a boyfriend and he's like messaging other guys and saying that they're attractive. I'm like, I don't have a boyfriend. I just haven't shared it online because, one, I don't want people attacking him. Two, I wanted that life to be like closed, and I just didn't want to continue pulling it into social media. But it's crazy. Like, I was telling a friend, you don't get to choose what people pull out of your personal life. You get to choose what you post, but you don't get to choose what people go digging for. The life that you live, you are exposed. Social media makes it really easy. I just recently deleted tons and tons of people off of my Facebook and kind of made my Facebook my personal friends that I really care about page. And then I made social media, YouTube, Instagram, kind of my, here's what I'm willing to share with the world about myself. And since I've done that, it's been a very nice shift in my experience with people, just because I can share my really deep feelings on Facebook to the people I love that know me really well, and their judgments aren't quick because they know that I have a backstory. Whereas on Instagram, when you share small parts of yourself, which I always tell people, my social media probably shows 1% of who I am as a person. You really have to get to know me face to face to know me as a person. And after I made that shift, I've been a lot happier because I can openly share with the people I care about. Of course, people can screenshot it and share it if they want, but I think I've got a pretty good group of people on there. But I just think that people do have to realize that once it's on the internet, once you choose a life of being in the social public eye, that you kind of have to give up some control over how people perceive you. It's, you can try as much as you want to like make an image, and no matter how amazing your life looks on Instagram, like you were saying, people can take a picture of you out at the club and completely paint you in a different like perspective. And I'm actually also writing a book. I'm probably way further behind
Oh,
than you are when it comes to
congratulations.
uh, getting it out there and published. But my book is all about, like, they talk about multiple dimensions, and I love that idea because, like, when you watch like the movie, I think it's Interstellar is what it's called, where there's like all those different dimensions. I do believe there's a lot of different dimensions, because who you think I am is based upon all the things that you've ever seen of me. Who my dad thinks I am is completely different. Who my boss thinks I am is completely different. So no matter what I want the world to believe me to be, maybe I sneezed and didn't cover my mouth, and instantly whoever saw that, that was their first impression of me. That's a dimension that I will never be able to change, because that's the perception they have of me. And it doesn't matter how many people are watching this. Like, someone who sees this live will have a very different opinion of me than someone who watched one of my YouTube videos. And I've always thought, when I put myself out there, this could be the first time someone sees me. What image are they going to see of me? So I've tried to always put my best self forward. Like you were saying at the beginning of this live, you never know what like reality you are going to create. So always put your best self forward, and realize that the realities other people have of you is their realities. You might be able to change it with your actions, but you also have to like just accept that that's a reality that exists of you, and the reality that you have of yourself, you want to make sure that that one isn't impacted by the negative realities out there of you.
Right. No, I really appreciate that. Also, let me just say, I don't know if this means much to you, but I really appreciate your authenticity tonight. I've seen a few of your videos and stuff, and I love them. But I really appreciate this very authentic. And I don't know if I'm pulling it, or making you feel like you have to, but I'm like so glad that you are, because this is what we need, right? This is what it's going to take for the online world to change. This is what it's going to take for kids to stop committing suicide because of social media. This is what it's going to take for adults to stop committing suicide because of social media. This is what it's going to take to make people know that they can love themselves without somebody saying something that's going to stick with them for the rest of their life. And, there's fine, it's interesting with dual dimensions, right? And it's fine. And I think there is more people talking about it. But if there's one thing that I can ask you is, when you do your book, please, like, do it in a way that is completely honest, and that a way that you tell your full story, but be prepared for what will come after that. Because if you are completely open to the world, it will come to you, and you've got to be mentally prepared for that. But I do wish that you do share your true stories, and try to, like, make sure that you're in a right mental state for that, though, first. You know what I mean? Be ready, like, be in a place like where you've worked on it and you're over it. You know what I mean? Before you talk about certain things. And I don't know much about you besides the live tonight. You know what I mean? So I can't say that there are things that you need to be mentally prepared for. But I do hope that you are real and honest, because I think that when we need to really get to that point. I think that there's certain YouTubers, and there's certain shows on Netflix and Hulu and blah 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 that do try to do that, but there's still a level of just not completely real. You know what I mean? And we need real. We need honest realness, honest and good. And it's like, it can't be like that's what I was saying. I never did this for, sorry, my sinuses, because the pollen and everything has been really bad here in New York. The weather's changing. It's like cold and then it's hot. We need this because it's so important. Like, people keep saying they're being real. They're not. Like, it's not. I never did this for the fame. I never did this for the money. I did it because I genuinely care about my art, and I found love for helping others. And I feel like there's no true way to help others unless it's the 100% honest truth. You know what I mean? And that's what it's got to turn into, because it's just not. And every time something comes out, I mean, even a certain documentary that I just watched recently, I'm like, I wish this was more real. Like, there's certain parts that are like so cringy. Like, please, like, just show the real, like, life. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you can't go online and then look back at like another documentary of someone and see something that they said, and then now there's a new story because they're trying to make themselves look better, or fix an old problem. Like, that's what I'm not about. Like, I'm not online trying to fix an old problem. I'm trying to fix the problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's always been an issue, hate. And it's always been an issue that people have mental illness. It's always been an issue that people have people that talk about them, whether it be online or back in the day, be through notes passed around in the class. It's time to truly make a difference. You know what I mean? And now I'm going to get off my soap opera box, and I'm sure we both need to pee. So.
Yeah. And it's been an hour and a half, which has been awesome. I really appreciate you doing this. You've definitely been someone that I've watched for a very long time, and I've always been at all at how you hold yourself in public. And like, we've talked about struggles you've had. You've talked to me about struggles that I've had, and I've always like appreciated your advice. I definitely, when I first met you, I was surprised that someone like you would have added me on Facebook. I was just like, kind of like, oh my gosh, this person that's probably got like thousands of people messaging them, like, said yes to me. And the more I got to know you, like, the more I realized that you were just a real person trying to get out there and just do what you wanted to do in life. And then your message became like helping other people. And I was just like, this is someone that I definitely think the world needs to see more of. And I was
Yeah.
just super excited about doing this with you because I'm all about helping the people that follow me find more people out there like you that are trying to be authentic, that are trying to help people see that there are struggles out there. We've all got them. And I think it's really important for people to follow people like you instead of following someone who is posting, oh, I'm on a jet and it's photoshopped, or oh, I'm living my life in this huge house and they're standing in front of a house that they just jogged past. I think it's important to see people in all different walks of life. And I also think it's important, and I think we touched on it really well, is the life that we think might be perfect for someone else, it isn't perfect. It's hard work no matter what. I think more people need to follow their passions and try to live their dreams because life is hard no matter what. You might as well be going through that life and dealing with its difficulties, trying to get to the place where you've always wanted to be. And giving up just shouldn't be an option. And just you saying that you worked multiple jobs on the side of being a model, like that will inspire people because a lot of people see model shot, model, all the model shots, and they don't see anything else behind that. And they feel like somehow they just don't have it because they're having to do that side job and modeling. So the more people open up about that type of stuff, the less people will feel like maybe their life isn't going the right direction. It'll inspire people not to give up because no matter what, like even if you become like a $2 million model where that's just coming into your banking account, like that's something that you still have to maintain. It's not happily ever after your life is perfect. Like
Right.
you
That's
will
another thing
forever
people
work.
don't realize. With more money comes more responsibilities, and it's like it sometimes can even be more struggling. And I'm now going on another topic, but it's like people don't realize that the grass is always greener on the other side. And the thing is, it's like, yeah, maybe somebody's rich, maybe they have millions of dollars, but I've seen it. I've seen people that are in it, and they're also some of the most sad people I've ever met because they're not happy. Because happiness does not come from material items, and I've seen it over and over and over again. And people can say that, but it's hard when you don't actually see it. You know what I mean? And the thing is like, you know, as well, financially, when you get to a certain point, you can lose it at any point. Anything can happen. You can be sued. You know, you can get hit by a car. You can get in. 1 in a million people get illness and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a hospital. You know, anything can happen, and you can lose everything. And that's something I talk about in sobriety too. I feel like I lost everything over and over and over again, and I was over it. I wanted to be in a headspace that I could try to keep my life a little in order and be able to truly do things like what we're doing right now. So thank you.
Yeah,
I really needed this tonight.
perfect. I'm glad that it helped you out. I'm glad that you got on here. I'm sure a lot of the people watching, it's definitely helping. I've been reading like the comments going through, and I love that. Sadly, like these comments disappear after the live, so I don't get to see them after we're done.
I know we
but
could actually go through them a little bit if you'd like.
yeah, I mean, I feel like when it comes to the main message that we talked about in this video, it's just being kind doesn't cost you that much. It might cost you a couple minutes here and there, but like I'm the type of person that I ask people how they're doing and I actually care. When I reach out to people, when I ask, how are you doing? I really do want to know. And like you being open and saying like you like cried before, like that's real. And we've got to stop saying, oh, I'm fine, I'm great. Uh, I love the like picture where it says I'm fine, and then like if you zoom up on the word, it's like I'm miserable, I'm depressed, I'm insecure, and I'm like that's so true because people don't think that they can share that, and it's important for us to realize that. And I also want people to realize that when they send you a message, when they send me a message, just because we don't respond doesn't mean that we
But
don't
we don't
care.
care. Yeah.
Like, we care, and we want everyone that watches us, everyone that supports us, to have a great life. But for us to do what we're doing, we also have to go out and live life. I don't get paid to sit and respond to messages every single day. Like, I do have multiple jobs so that I can afford to live.
And
Um,
be able to share these messages, and that's the reality of it. And you know, and even doing this is hours, and you know what I mean. It's like, but we do it because we care. We do it because we want to share, and that's the whole point, right? Like I said earlier, we're all human beings. We all have sadness, we all have anxiety, we all have depression, like, you know what I mean. We're not robots. And I think that that's what we've been online, and that's what it was. I mean, that was the culture, that was what it was like. And then one day I just decided, oh well, just kidding, that's horrible to do that, you know what I mean. And
yeah.
I don't know how I just did that, but I did love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the main thing. Like, I think that's the whole major topic about all of this is like, we are robots and we're human and we all have emotions. And the thing about it is that we need to share real experiences if we are ready. The thing is don't, like, I wouldn't from experience share something that I wasn't ready to share. And but I do think like I've gotten to a point where I'm ready to share a lot of things to show people that this whole like perfect doll life that people think that I have is truly, I can go through things too. Granted, yes, there is a lot of times where I've had special treatment, and there has been times where I have, you know, and that's the truth. Like, there is times where my looks did get me to certain places, but there's also times where it doesn't matter. You know, the way you look sometimes just doesn't matter with life situations. People will take advantage of you. People will do things that they want to do to you. And I think sometimes people don't realize that the whole doll look thing makes you this object. And you are this object that's on a computer, right? Like, you know, all of us are these, like, we aren't humans on this. We are robots in this right now. Like, that is what people are watching, a robot, because this is a computer, right? Like, this is a computer, and it's a machine, and now there's an algorithm. So it's all like the people that are watching this are watching it because it just popped up on their thing because of what we're saying into this robot. You know what I mean? So that's why we have to change this, you know, whole thing. That's why we have to get rid of the wanting the likes. That's why we have to get rid of the wanting the views, because we need to actually share our real stories for people to actually understand that it's okay. Like, you have people that can relate to you. It's okay to be sad about this. It's okay to be hurting, but we also have to share the right places to go and the right people to call, and what you should do in a situation, because we are not psychiatrists or doctors, you know what I mean? But we can only share our experiences so people can feel better. But then there is points where we need to share, like, I have the National Suicide Hotline on my page because I have a lot of people that do reach out, and as much as I love people and stuff, it's like you have to have an actual, you know, person that works in the field talk to you, because, you know, it's only so far that I can take it.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, like, when it comes to meeting people in real life, it's really crazy now because with video and everything, you really do think you know somebody. And I've met a lot of YouTubers that I really look up to at YouTube events because now I get to kind of like go to the creator places and meet people. And it's always so crazy to meet someone face to face that you've seen so much online because they're a real person. They're not a robot. They are a person that physically stands there, and they might be shorter or taller than you thought they were going to be. They might, like, a lot of times you see forward facing, you don't see people from this side. Like, we look
Right.
very different in real life. And I think that it's an amazing thing to meet people face to face. It's definitely chemically something that happens in your brain when you actually meet someone face to face that doesn't happen when you do it through a camera. And I think that we're structured and built to have human connection. And I think that you're doing an amazing job kind of spreading that message. I think that
Thank
it's
you.
an amazing thing. One thing that I always try to tell people on my calls is don't just assume that because I am a social media influencer that I'm the only one that can make this change. All these people in the comments are people. Like these are people that you can reach out to. If you see someone in the comments say that they need help, realize that I am one person and that I need everyone's help. And that you have to also realize that when it comes to the people in the comments that say I care about you, like those are people that care about you. Accept that and allow them to show love. Like don't just think that someone with a large following is somehow better communication than someone who's just reaching out to you saying I care. I always encourage people to go and read the comments under my videos, because when I talk about my pain, a lot of times people comfort me, but a lot of people share their pain in the comments as well. And I love seeing people that follow me reaching out to other people that have shared their story below mine, because that's no different than me sharing my own pain. These people are sharing their story, and I think that's amazing that people are open up to the public and
Well,
doing that.
yeah, that's something I love too, because I have a lot of, other influencers that have followed me since very young. I remember them asking me lots of questions and stuff. And there's the ones that decided to turn into this diva and not be somebody that's actually making a good change. And then there's ones that do. And I absolutely love it. Like, I've seen people share their sobriety journey, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, these are people I never saw before start sharing it, and I love it. I'm like, thank you. So, like, that's something I was saying in my story earlier that you said you liked. It's like, if you're going to influence something, make sure it's something that you truly believe in, and that's something that's actually going to be influential, not an influencer influencing someone. You know what I mean? Because it's like, and it has to be something you truly believe in, because people can tell when it's not real. Like, it just is clear as day. There will be a lot of people that just want to like sleep with you on here or whatever, and they'll follow you and like say that they believe in it, but at the end of the day, it's like it's not really helping them, because that's not what they're watching you for. It's like you have to, like, whatever it is that you're doing, be in it full force. I mean, and I totally respect anything anyone does. There's this I love this influencer, Reno Gold, right? Like, I love that he's completely 100% honest about his OnlyFans. And he's like, this is what I do, and this is what I make, and this is my life. And I'm like, good for you. That's awesome. Like, I think that's sickening, because he's influencing what he loves, and he enjoys doing it. So it's like, it's like there can be an influencer with 1 million followers because of good photos and layouts on their page. Then there can be an influencer or somebody that just has 100 followers. Follow those people that are actually inspiring you. Those people that make you feel good. Don't follow those people that are going to make you feel bad about yourself, And I think that I've lost a lot of people because of my shirtless pictures and stuff, because people are like, well, I don't want to see that because, like, I don't have that or whatever. And that's fine, but it's like, that's okay. Like, but follow who you feel like is important and actually can make your day a better day. Follow someone that can inspire you. Follow someone that makes a difference, that does something good. You know what I mean? It's like, follow someone that's honest. Even if it's for sexual benefits, if they're honest, you know what I mean? And that's what the change we're trying to make is. That's the purpose of this call. That is the purpose of my book that's coming out, of your book apparently that's going to come out soon, which is amazing. It's time to make a change, right? It's time that there is a real change. And I think I see a few people doing it. And then I see a few people not really doing it that are saying they're doing it. And that's where, like, the being 100% real and honest comes into play, because that's just, it just needs to be more real. It has to be real, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like I stated earlier, if you guys are just joining us, there's certain things that are also dangerous. Like, you know, you don't want to just share um, photos that could be potentially harmful to your children, or, you know, you don't want to share things that can potentially get somebody to have information to not give you something financially, you know, like, you know, there's certain things that, like, sadly we can't share all of. There's certain things that can put us in positions of legal danger, you know, that people could make up stories about, you know, and put you in danger, you know. So, you know, be wise with what you share. But I think the more that we share, like, mental health stories, the more that we share you know, us falling off of a stage during Fashion Week, you know, the more that we share these things, the more people can actually be helped, and there can be a real difference in the world. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I think that the thing that people have to realize is no one's perfect. So anyone who appears perfect is fake. It's not real. And I think we have to normalize being imperfect. And no, even if my message is positivity, happiness, I have all the other emotions there as well. And when it comes to politicians, celebrities, if we normalize being imperfect, like that's that's good. We want people to realize that we're not perfect. When you said unfollow people that make you feel bad about yourself, oh my gosh, like that was life changing for me. Like when
me
I
too.
got rid of
Me
people
too.
off of my social media that like literally every time I saw their posts, like it made me hate myself. Like I just went through social media and started deleting those people. Like there's people who post shirtless pictures, but they do it in a way where it's body positivity and they want to encourage you. And I mean, there's people who have deleted me because they said that they believe that I'm fake, that there's no way that I can be this positive. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm just being me. I try to put a positive spin on anything.
But see, that's the part that comes into play, where, like, you also have to share the parts that aren't so positive. You know what I mean? And I'm not. I'm sure you do that, but I'm
Almost
saying,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I,
exactly, and that's what makes it real. That's why I
yeah.
like you. That's why I love
I,
this. I'm like, this is so good to have another person of influence, like, to talk to on live and, like, share this story. Like, I am mind blown about tonight. I mean, we have talked for 2 hours almost, and it has been so natural and real and um, organic. And we've never met well, maybe did we meet one time? No, we've
we,
never met in person.
yeah. I
So
feel like when it comes to my stuff, I want people to watch my stuff and I want it to inspire them to go out and be their best self. I never want someone to watch my stuff or see my stuff and say, I wish I was him. I do not want people wishing my life to be theirs. I think that as soon as you start doing that, you waste precious moments of your own life that could be used to move you towards the best life that you could live by being yourself. And I have shared really dark things. I did a video on my first channel where I filmed like the day after I got broken up with from my 5-year relationship. I was a mess. Looking at that video, like it makes me cry and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I did it with the sense of I wanted to share a video a year later about how far I've come from that feeling because I know that that
I love
breakup
that.
feeling is temporary. You know that 12 months from then is going to be very different. And I talked about 12 months later how thinking about it, I grew from it. Thinking about the pain, I still remember the pain, but I don't feel that pain anymore. And I think it's just important for people to realize that you shouldn't ever idolize someone to the point where you want to be them. You should be
Yeah, and
inspired
that
by their
happens a
life.
lot.
You
Yeah.
should be inspired by them and go out and do something worth having other people wish that.
Your best self is your point, you know. Um,
Exactly.
and that's amazing. Be your best self. Yeah, and I agree. Like, we have a lot of the same viewpoints here, and I'm loving it. Like, I really
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah. Every
Um,
single time you post something on social media, I'm just like, yep, I agree. Good job. That's an
Yeah,
amazing
thank you.
post.
Well, and that's where I've gotten to the point too, right? I have people that want to tell me how I should post and what I should say, and that I shouldn't do that. And that's the thing. If I remove something, it's because I want to remove it, right? It's not because other people didn't like it. It's not because I'm told to remove it. It's because I want to remove it. Because I personally don't want to look at it all the time. That's the thing. If I delete a comment, it's because I want to delete the comment. Because I don't want to stare at it. It's all these things. Anyway, I don't want to get back into another ramble. We've been on here for 2 hours, and I'm really grateful for everybody that's come on. I'm grateful for us doing this. I think that you're going to save the video, right? And post it somewhere, and I'll repost it on mine.
Yep.
And I'm very excited for this because I really hope that even if we can touch one person's life from this, good for us. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. I always say it's worth it if like I spent hours and hours on a video, if it saved one person from taking that like last moments to just end their life, like it's totally worth it for me. Like I I can't stand people who do all of that for attention for themselves. I think that like you're one of those people that I know that your heart's in the right spot and you're posting stuff to put out a message to help people, which I think is amazing. So I'm glad we got to do this. It's crazy that it lasted 2 hours, but I mean, when you're having a good time, like
Yes,
time
time
flies,
flies.
right? But
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna let you go so that you can go use the bathroom.
No, I had to pee for like an hour now. But I was like, this is too good. Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me tonight. It was very nice.
yeah. Thanks for doing it.
All right. I'll
Have
see
a
you
good
later.
one. Sounds
Bye.
good. Bye.